Morning world, it's about 8:39 a.m. in the morning on the 27th of April 2017. The moon is still in Taurus, the moon is still in Taurus, and Mercury is still retrograde for about another 6.5 days. I'm looking at the astrological Jupiter at the moment because about 3 o'clock this morning I happened to wake up. I don't normally wake up in the night, but I did this morning. And I got up and I was just looking out the window and I saw this really bright star. And I thought, wait a minute, Jupiter. And I just stayed there gazing at it for about 5 minutes. Now, a few of you have dropped me emails over the last 6 months saying I'm always a bit intense on Jupiter, but I don't see Jupiter in such a positive light as I see Saturn. And perhaps that's true, because I do like Saturn. I wouldn't go so far as to say he's my friend, but I can relate to him. Whereas Jupiter I do have a bit of a problem with, because at the end of the day, although Jupiter's bigger than all the other planets put together, it is made of gas, hot gas. And Jupiter gives out at least 2, if not 3 times as much heat and light as it takes in from the sun. And it's a bit overexpansive, you can't land on it. It's got no surface, there's no substance there. So whilst it deals with growth and expansion and hope and optimism and humour and faith and belief and all those other really nice Jupiterian words, it's also sometimes a lack of substance. There's not a lot of solidity to it. So it does tend to promise more than it can deliver. Now, because Jupiter's got an almost precise, it's about 11.98, I was going to say 12-year orbit, it is practically 12 years. It is safe to say that Jupiter is normally somewhere between 11 to 13 months in each sign, regular as clockwork. And at the moment, Jupiter's in Libra. With the outer planets, you can't ascribe meaning as to what sign of the zodiac they're in. And even Saturn, yeah, you can ascribe a bit of meaning to Saturn in the signs, but with Jupiter you can. For example, Jupiter is well known as being good in Sagittarius and good in Pisces and good in Cancer, whereas it's not so good in Gemini. It doesn't particularly get on with Capricorn that well because that's Saturn's domain. Jupiter's currently in Libra. Not a bad position for it, perhaps better than Virgo, and probably better than Scorpio, the sign it's going to move into later this year. But whilst Jupiter's in Libra, especially during its retrograde period, the world appears to be holding its breath, as if waiting for something to happen. There is a growing sense of imminence, of trepidation, and I can see Jupiter as an allegorical reason for this. I do find it interesting that as Jupiter stands still now and for the next few months, Jupiter's currently at 15 degrees Libra going backwards, and it's going to stand still at 13 degrees of Libra. This over the next 4 months is on top of the Saturn position in the USA horoscope and squaring the Sun in the USA horoscope. So bearing in mind the Great American Eclipse that's coming up, which is actually quite good for most people. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, 1 or 2 notable exceptions. But I do suspect that the polarisation of different tribal and political and religious and ethnic groups around the world, but particularly in America, is going to become more and more of a short-term influence, particularly through perhaps to, say, mid-late August, say the start of September, after which time it's basically, well, people will know where they stand. There will be resolution one way or the other. And of course, throughout this entire year, Jupiter is in square to Pluto. Jupiter and Pluto square to each other, they're, well, brothers. When the Olympians rebelled against the Titans, when Jupiter sliced open his father's belly and freed his brothers and sisters, the first one of the brothers that Kronos stroke Saturn ate was Hades stroke Pluto. Pluto stayed in the dark longer than any other of the Olympians. So when the brothers split the firmament between them, Neptune took the underworld, Neptune took the water world, Pluto took the underworld, and Jupiter took the overworld. So Jupiter and Pluto are equal and opposite, even though it's the biggest planet and the smallest planet, the brightest planet and the darkest planet, two planets of extremes. And now when they're having a sort of ding-dong with each other over this last 6 months and for the next 3 months, a conflict of philosophies between the need for transparency, openness versus subversiveness and secrecy is ongoing throughout the world in different shapes and forms. And it does appear to me that the more we get into late June and the middle of July, perhaps as far as the eclipse in August, we are going to see a number of revelations, which personally I can't wait for. But yeah, Jupiter's getting brighter and brighter in the sky now. It's basically at past opposition, so it's risen now before the sun has set, but it's going to become the evening star over the next couple of months. It's going to be in the middle of the sky in the middle of the evening for everyone, and it's going to get brighter and brighter now. So start looking out for Jupiter. It's going to be spectacular, especially if you've got a telescope or binoculars. Okay, more on this tomorrow, I suspect. Oh, here's today's if. I'll be very interested to see what people say this. If you could stop aging at any point in your life up to now, how old would you like to be? How old would you want to remain? I asked a few people this, and everyone says, oh, I'd like to go back to being 20 or 30. And I thought, no, I'm happy where I am. I've got the knowledge and the maturity that I didn't have when I was 40 or 50. Now that I'm in my 60s, I've traded it for the physicality. I wish I was a lot thinner and I wish I was more active, but that's aging for you. I would stay at the age I am now. But how old would you stay at? Catch you later, world. Bye.